You want real power? Then stay. Because what I'm about to tell you is not found in books, podcasts, or motivational quotes. It's something only the few ever discover. Real growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It doesn't come when you're surrounded by people cheering you on. It begins in silence, in isolation, where there's no one left to lie to, not even yourself. You will face the darkest version of your mind in isolation. Every insecurity, every failure, every voice you've ignored, it's louder in silence. That's why most people run from solitude. They fill it with noise, distractions, and fake validation. Because being alone forces you to confront the one person you've been avoiding, yourself. But here's the truth. If you can sit in that silence long enough, if you can stay when everything inside you screams to run, you'll unlock something 99% of the world never will. Self-mastery. It's not comfort that builds greatness. It's discomfort. Isolation is not punishment. It's training. Loneliness isn't weakness. It's the forge, the place where your future self is built. You don't need to be liked. You need to be unshakable. You don't need attention. You need inner clarity. And when you finally embrace the isolation, you'll find out who you really are, and more importantly, who you're meant to become. Comment this. Isolation builds the strongest version of me. If you're building in silence and rising through the shadows, subscribe and walk this path with us. Everyone wants the crown, but no one wants the silence it requires. They want greatness without isolation, power without pain, discipline without sacrifice. But that's not how this works. The truth is simple. No transformation happens without breaking first. You will break, not once, not twice, but again and again. And every time it happens, you'll want to quit. You'll question why you're even trying. That's the test, not the pain, but what you do with it. Most people stay broken. They fear silence because silence brings truth. They fear loneliness because it reveals weakness. But you don't run. You rebuild. Silence is not your enemy. It's your sanctuary. In silence, you hear your real thoughts. In solitude, you build real structure, and through relentless discipline, you stop needing motivation because habits take over, because your identity is no longer fragile, it's forged. The weak break and beg for comfort. The strong break and rebuild with rules, with daily discipline, with quiet intensity. They don't scream, they don't post, they don't prove. They build in silence, in shadows, where monsters are made. Comment this. I rebuild in silence, I rise in discipline. Power doesn't make noise, discipline doesn't brag, and transformation, it doesn't need applause. You want to win? Then stop showing and start sharpening. While they talk, you train. While they flex, you focus. While they seek validation, you become the weapon they'll never see coming. The loner mindset isn't about being antisocial. It's about being anti-weakness. You don't isolate because you hate the world. You isolate because you refuse to be like it. Soft, distracted, unfocused. Isolation isn't a prison. It's a lab where every version of you is tested, destroyed, and rebuilt stronger. And it's only in that lab, that forge of solitude, that real change begins. Because in silence, you hear the truth. In routine, you create discipline. And in the dark, you start to see your own light. They won't understand you. They're not supposed to. Because the path of self-mastery is walked alone. Comment this: I train in silence. I rise in the dark. If this message speaks to your soul, give it a like and let it reach those who need it too. People say they want growth, but they avoid the one place where growth is guaranteed: discomfort. You think transformation feels good? It doesn't. It feels like pain. It feels like loneliness. It feels like showing up every day with zero results and still showing up again. Because real power is built in repetition. Not once, but every day. You think it's about motivation? It's about showing up when motivation is dead. It's about structure when emotions scream for escape. It's about waking up early, training in silence, and going to sleep with nothing but discipline. The world teaches you to chase pleasure, but pleasure kills potential. Growth comes from stress. Discipline comes from pressure. Character comes from silence. You become unstoppable when you stop caring how it feels and focus on doing it anyway. And here's the truth most won't admit: it's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's about being relentless when no one is watching. About doing the work in the shadows so you can dominate in the light. Comment this: I choose discipline. I choose growth. You don't need motivation to begin, but if you find it, use it. Use that spark. Use that anger. Use that heartbreak. But understand, motivation fades. Discipline doesn't. The pain that woke you up, it won't stay forever. That's why you don't build on emotion. You build on structure. You build on habits, on silence, on repetition, on the discipline that outlives the feeling. Most people treat motivation like oxygen. They wait to feel inspired before they move. That's weakness. The strong don't wait. They move first. They act while broken. They build through storms. Motivation can be the fire that lights the fuse, but it's the daily grind that keeps the engine running. The silent mornings, the lonely nights, the routines no one sees, the choices no one claps for. That's where real change lives. So yes, use motivation when it shows up, but never depend on it. Because the world doesn't reward the motivated. It rewards the consistent. Comment this: motivation starts me. Discipline keeps me going. Turn on notifications to stay sharp, stay focused, and never miss the tools that build your power. There comes a point where silence is no longer painful. It becomes peace. When being alone isn't loneliness, it's clarity. You start to crave the quiet. You start to need the routine, because in the stillness, you see what others can't. You hear the lies your old self believed. You destroy the noise that once controlled you. This is where transformation solidifies, not in the hype, not in the spotlight, but in the unseen, in the lonely walks, in the early mornings no one claps for, in the hours of practice no one watches. This is identity rebuilding. In silence, you meet your raw self. No filters, no masks, just truth. And if you're strong enough to face it, you become something most people fear. Someone who doesn't need anything but purpose. You become silent power, unshakable, unstoppable, unbreakable. Comment this: silence built me, purpose moved me. When you spend enough time in solitude, you stop reacting, you start responding. Your emotions stop leading, your mind takes over. You stop chasing noise, you stop explaining yourself. You realize clarity is found in quiet, power is built in silence, and self-control is the real strength. People who never sit with themselves, they never meet their real power. They're always distracted, always running, always escaping. But you chose stillness. You chose to face your thoughts instead of drowning them. And because of that, you're no longer a victim of your mind. You are the master of it. This is where strength meets peace, where darkness becomes direction, where silence becomes your sword, and routine becomes your armor. You've entered the level where most quit, but you're still here, and what's coming next is the part where I show you how to sharpen this mindset even deeper. Make sure you don't miss the next videos, because that's where I'll give you the rarest techniques no one teaches, but the ones that build monsters in silence. You've been taught to run from silence, to fear being alone, but the truth is, everything powerful is born in solitude. Wolves don't grow in crowds, kings aren't made in noise, in the quiet, and now you've walked through it. You didn't break, you didn't quit, you didn't fold. You kept going when everything inside you said stop. You showed up when nobody was watching. You held the line when the world forgot your name. That's who you are now, not just someone who survives, but someone who builds in the shadows, moves in silence, and speaks only with results. You are no longer a seeker of approval. You are the embodiment of control. Now the question is, if no one ever claps for you again, will you still finish what you started?